I do believe. Let me refresh. See if this thing is up.
It says live on Facebook here in my.
Well, would you look at that? We are live. What is going on, everyone? Sebastian Brosche, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
Yeah, man. Dude, let's get right down to business because there's something that I've been very excited to talk to you about, and that is Replica. That video that you just like you casually like send me these videos about the latest and greatest AI or the latest in technology that you've been researching, and you just kind of you give me like a casual mind blow. And then I think about it for like a week and we never get to talk about it. So I'm stoked to have you on the show because I have been thinking about Replica since you sent me that video. Can you is that something you've like been thinking about a lot too, or was it just something that you kind of saw and thought was interesting?
I have a really good subscription list on YouTube. I chose my channels that I follow very carefully, so my stream is really high quality. So I can just take 10 seconds, literally 10 seconds, and find a really interesting video. And I just realized a feature that's been on YouTube forever called Watch Later. So whenever I feel like I'm mindlessly scrolling my YouTube feed, and I feel like I don't really have time to see this now, but I really want to see it, I just add it to watch later. And whenever I'm in my car, I can just click play the watch later list, and I can put my phone down and just listen to the videos. And that has been a way for me to consume a lot of high quality media without actually having to spend so much time in front of the screen. And the replica.ai video that I sent you, I thought it was really interesting. I tried it out and I got a little bit. I did it. The Replica is a chatbot, right?
Yeah.
So I chatted with a chatbot for maybe 10, 15 minutes. But whatever I asked it, it kind of had its own agenda. It just replied back with the default answers, default questions. So I didn't really have the patience to go deep into it because it's in such a new. It's not even released yet. It's still in beta.
Yeah.
So, but the idea, I love the idea of being able to talk to like a high quality AI through a chat. That's something I really look forward to doing when it's in on a high level.
The thing that really kind of fucked with my head was the fact that we have these advances like this, like Replica. And for people who don't know what we're talking about, Replica is an app on your phone. And like you said, it's a chat bot. So basically, you just talk to it all day. And it starts off as like a diary, basic in a way, or like a way for you to kind of, guess, talk to yourself and get kind of feedback on your ideas a little bit. But eventually, it kind of learns from what you're saying, and it eventually becomes you. So the idea is that eventually you're talking to yourself, and you can share that data with someone else, and then they can talk to this like AI version of you, and it'll respond apparently in a way that is accurate to how you would reply to that person. Um,
It's spooky but really interesting concept.
Exactly. And the thing is we're seeing advances like this, but we're also seeing advances in things like prosthetic skin and prosthetic limbs, where they're being able to create like, all sorts of, um, different types of skin that is almost like human skin or, very advanced prosthetics. And I think that these two worlds are going to combine. And imagine if you had like a very realistic, artificial, I wouldn't say artificial intelligence yet, but you have like the body, and then you can download something like Replica into that shell, and suddenly you have like a clone of yourself in a way.
That's for me. That's too futuristic to apprehend. I my belief is that um, companies like DeepMind, Google's DeepMind, their mission is to solve what intelligence is. They want to create synthetic artificial intelligence which will exceed human intelligence by orders of magnitude over and over. And I think that will come much quicker. That will like really be upon us sooner than we expect,
Yeah.
while robots will probably take longer. So I think these assistants, these virtual assistants through your phone, like now you can just ask Google, "Hey Google, find me the 5 top sushi restaurants nearby," and it does a pretty good job of doing that. And I know that SoundHound, they've been working on their it's called Houndify, and their mission is to houndify everything. And if you watch the founder of SoundHound, he has a talk on Google for like a 40-minute talk, and he gives a demonstration live in the interview, and their their AI is pretty spot on. It goes straight from audio to meaning, and it doesn't first convert to text and then meaning like Siri. Siri sucks compared to SoundHound, and
Hmm.
I think in 5 years, 10 years, I think these Houndifies and these Google Assistants and Siri will probably be so good that you can have a serious conversation with an AI. Probably not with wisdom and consciousness, but at least hugely intelligent. You're gonna get some weird answers, but you're probably gonna get some really deep and profound answers as well.
This is one of the questions I kind of wanted to ask you is if you had one of these AIs, like the one that we're talking about right now, whether it's a very sophisticated version of a chatbot or even like a C3PO type of robot, what would you want it to do for you? What hole would you want it to fill in your life?
I know that I know the answer very well. I would t- program it or tell it to become my um, mentor, teacher, bugging friend who always tells the truth and really can mimic me and show me. Like, let's say we were in a situation, and I talked to my assistant. Let's call him R2D2. I'm gonna tell R2D2 what could I have done different and how were I perceived from the outside, like a way to put myself in someone else's shoes, and I get my personal assistant to help me do that, and they will like mimic me and replay exactly what I said and like show me different scenarios. So really like being a personal mentor, um, like kind of a life coach with some sarcasm and some humor in there. Not like a friend that I would have to not feel lonely. That it's not that. It's just a way to get out of my own head, kind of.
I think that's a fantastic idea. That's something I haven't really thought of before. Because whenever you think of AI and stuff like this, you would think, you want it to do your job better or maybe help you out with some business related thing. But I
Oh,
think,
absolutely. But that's like inevitable. It's like you don't even think twice about using your phone to order a taxi. Like it's not like you call the taxi company and talk to a person anymore. That
yeah.
that's so 1995. Today you order an Uber with 3 or 4 clicks, and using I saw some demonstration of the new Google Data Studio, and it's amazing. You plug all your company info into it, and you can ask the data questions. You ask, what was the best selling product 3 days before Black Friday last year? And do you have any suggestions on what we can do this year to improve sales? And you get an answer within milliseconds from Google Data Studio. And that is going to take away so many jobs because you can just plug everything into your Google Data Studio, and you will have the questions answered to all your issues in your company. You don't have to have any question marks. You can just have pure information all the time at your fingertips.
Yes. And like you said, I think it's going to get rid of a lot of jobs. And this is like something we were talking about on the podcast I did earlier today. I think it's good. I think it's good to get rid of a lot of these jobs, because ultimately, I don't think we're meant to work all these jobs. I don't think that people, I think that robots can do it better. And I think that we're going to find a better way of going about our lives once a lot of these jobs are replaced by things like a highly advanced version of Google Data Studio.
Mhm. Yeah, and I like for some people in this world who has a really fulfilling job. I don't think they have to be afraid, because if you have a really fulfilling job, it means that you have put your personality and your humanity into your job, and you cannot replace humanity with artificial intelligence. You can just replace the things. Like, I heard a AI spokesperson talk about this, and he said every job that can be replaced by computers absolutely should, because if you have a job that is computer like, it's not fulfilling for you. The only jobs that should exist are fulfilling jobs. So our goal is to take away all the boring jobs, so that people can either be laid off of work and get paid and other ways, and they will have to find fulfillment otherwise, or find jobs that are really fulfilling.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to look at it. And also, with every new piece of technology or every new disruptive, thing that comes out, there's going to be new jobs as a result of that. I mean, just think about Instagram. Instagram's created so many jobs. People live their entire lives just making money off of Instagram. And that wasn't even a thing a couple years ago. Think about like what's going to be the next version of Instagram, or Facebook ads. There's so many people making six figures a year running a Facebook advertising agency where they work for businesses and just do Facebook ads,
Yeah.
on that one platform. So there's going to be so many different options that we don't even know about. So I don't think anyone needs to be scared, like you said.
Only the people who are really afraid of learning new things. Like, if you
Yeah.
invested a lot of money into education where you're a specialist, let's say you're really good at Facebook marketing. 2 days from now, an app comes out where anyone can just tell Facebook, or Facebook just automates it. Like, it automatically finds customers for you, and you have no place for the marketers anymore. And if you're stuck in your own little spot, then someone is gonna pull the rug out from under you, and you're gonna fall flat on your head and not recover. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people will have that problem. Like, they've been in their same job for 10, 15, 20 years, and they're gonna suffer hard when their jobs are just gone overnight.
Yeah. There's
But tough
and
shit,
things, what do you say?
tough shit.
I know, man. It's a quickly evolving world, and these things are happening now. Like, there are marketing automation apps that are coming out like
Mm.
today. I was
Yeah.
reading about one for Instagram that's coming out like next week. So, and if you're an Instagram growth specialist and that's your thing, you're going to have to take this into it. Um, but yeah, I don't think people have to be scared. If anything, people should be excited.
Can you repeat? Because I got a phone call that I had to dismiss.
Oh, no problem. I said, I think that people, like we've been saying, people don't have to be scared. I think if anything, people should be excited and open to learning more, for sure. Because if you're not learning more, then I don't think that you
Yeah, I'm not sure I caught that last bit.
just that, like we said, the future's bright. If you shouldn't be scared that robots are going to take your jobs. I don't think it's going to work that way. I think they're going to create more.
For sure, yeah, they're gonna create wealth. Hopefully, the wealth will be better distributed than it has been the last 50 years.
Yeah, I think so, man. And furthermore, like, I was listening to a TED talk the other day about how there's kind of this myth that the business owner is the one who creates the job, but really it's the customer demand that creates the job in a lot of ways. You know, the customers are the job creators. Like right now, if you had 5,000 more people sign up for yoga for BJJ, and they all wanted new stuff, you might have to hire some new people.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I think that that's what's going to happen. I think that people are going to have more. They're going to have more interactions with different companies, and these companies are going to take off because they have increased technology. Like if you're in the tech world, I think you're going to be seeing a lot more business, and that's going to mean more jobs.
Sure.
That's just what I think.
Yeah.
It's my opinion, not based in any actual expert knowledge. Something else I wanted to ask you about. So, as the information age continues to progress and people start to learn more and more and become more aware of themselves and of all the information that is out there, how do you think that that's going to influence how people treat their bodies, whether through nutrition, physical activity, or whatever you think might be the best way that that will progress?
I'm hopeful, absolutely. Like if you're not an optimist, I don't know what you are. I think optimistic is being realistic, because things are getting better. No matter what you see on TV, things are improving rapidly everywhere. And I think that for my in my own experience, whenever I thought about health, uh, you would think automatically health means lack of sickness, and that means pills and medicine and the doctor and healthcare. And I think that is a old illusion that everyone is eventually going to get rid of. I think everyone will realize that 99.9% of your health is your own responsibility. And if you suddenly get hit by a car and you have to be rushed to the hospital, they can probably do a really good job of saving your life. But I think that will be more or less the only thing that healthcare will do. Like acute injuries and sudden trauma is going to be their only. It's going to be the only last part that they do. Like serious, immediate stuff that needs quick attention. Uh, all the chronic stuff, I think we will realize how to resolve on our own with good sleep, good exercise, and proper diet.
You're someone who I think really knows what they're talking about when it comes to taking care of your body. What's something that you might know that you do in your own life that you think other people are going to start adopting as they learn about it?
Obviously, switch over from processed food and animal based food to more organic, more plant based, more locally grown, maybe even growing your own food. It's inevitable, because as soon as you start, it's when this is a super old, it's almost a cliche. When you open your eyes, it's hard to close them again. Like whenever you see something, when you see a fact that gets to you, you cannot start ignoring it again. Like you can, being ignorant is easy, but whenever you stop being ignorant for just a second, it's super hard to, you cannot even go back to be ignorant again. Let's say it's eggs. Like you buy any eggs in the supermarket, the cheapest, dirtiest eggs from Denmark or whatever, wherever, and then you see some documentary, like a 5 minute documentary about what they feed these chickens, and how much antibiotics they give them, and some examples of what happened to people who ate a lot of these eggs. And if you actually finish it and it gets to you, you're not going to buy these eggs again. So for me, it's inevitable that you move away from stuff that once you see what's in front of you, you're gonna want to wake up like the Matrix. Like, do you want to eat the blue pill or
Yeah.
the red pill? Do you wanna take the truth pill and see what's there? And I think everybody is gonna end up not end up. I think everybody is going to be progressing from a really shitty, sad standard American diet to a healthier diet that makes sense. And as soon as you have started on your diet stuff, you're going to start thinking about, yeah, but what about water? Am I drinking enough water? And when you fix that, eventually after a few months, you drink enough water. I'm sleeping real bad. Maybe I should change something in my bedroom to make me sleep better. And then when you start thinking like that, you're like, is it really possible for my newborn? Is it really necessary for my newborn kid to have a hepatitis B vaccine from day one at birth? And like it never ends. And I think that is why people are so afraid to start changing, because they know it is a slippery slope. Like even having a healthy lifestyle is a slippery slope, because as you start, it's hard to stop. You cannot stop. It's going to take a long time and a lot of work, but if you want to be ignorant, you better stay ignorant from day one. Like you have to fight to stay ignorant, because if you start changing, you're going to see, like, the only reason people are not almost panically freaking out is because they don't know. Like if you actually know all the shit that is going on and it comes to you all at once, you're going to be a mental freak. Like you need to take it in small doses.
What were some of the biggest moments for you from eye-opening things that you couldn't look back? You know, once you knew this thing, you couldn't go back. What were a few of those?
Milk.
Me too. Me too for milk.
Yeah. I drank 3 liters. I drank a gallon of milk almost every day for my whole teenage years. When I was young, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, when I was in my 20s, I could drink at least 4 liters of milk every day. And it was cheap, it tasted good, and I assumed it was super healthy for bones and sheep protein and everything. And then I saw how they treat these poor cows. And I remember going to the fridge, taking my 2 liters of organic milk and just pouring it out into the sink. And I'm like, never again am I gonna drink this shit. That was really one of the big turning points for me.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of people start with something about the way we treat cows. That gets a lot of people. You know, that's I think for a lot of people that was the thing.
It's like kicking a cat in the face. Like
I know.
cats are harmless, cows are harmless. Why the fuck would you mistreat such a docile, kind animal
Yeah, I
just
know.
to steal the milk from the calf? It's like, don't watch these videos if you want to stay ignorant, because it's gonna get to you.
Yeah, I've seen some fucked up shit about cows for
Yeah,
sure. It gets to
yeah.
you. By the way, anyone watching, if you want, feel free to drop questions in the comments, and we'll ask them on the show. Please, it's like the thing with these live videos, man. It's why they're so cool. Please, can you explain your gigantic water container, please?
Yeah, I'm so happy with this. I just picked it up at second. I just picked it up at the postal office. I realized that I'm not drinking enough water by any means, so I ordered a 2.2 liter. I don't know what the proper name is. A jug.
Yeah, jug. uh,
It's, yeah, and my plan is to fill this every morning. Add my ascorbic acid, which is vitamin C. Add my apple cider vinegar and everything else that I assume is healthy. Just pour it all in there and then sip it during the day. So I'm not flushing my body all at once, but taking it in small doses.
yeah.
And my theory is that my hypothesis is that it's going to be good for me.
I think that that's a correct hypothesis. It sounds like a pretty healthy thing to do. Um, Lately, I've started adding a little bit of salt to all the water that I drink, and I feel great. I feel
Yeah.
great doing that. I've heard it's good to like reset your adrenal glands a little bit if you add a little bit of salt to all the water that you drink. So,
Yeah. I was thinking about adding maybe a teaspoon of salt, and I also have Epsom salt, which is magnesium sulfate. sulfate, and apparently it's really good for yeah. Of course, magnesium is necessary for us, and it also balances out the calcium, and a lot of people have excess calcium, and magnesium should be good to balance that out. But of course, I have no idea what I'm talking about. It's all just what I've read.
Have you ever drank Epsom salt before?
I have. It's not. It doesn't taste very well.
It if you drink a lot of it, it cleans you out. From what I have been told, it gets in there deep and doesn't leave much inside. So be careful.
I was thinking maybe a teaspoon would be more than enough.
I think that'd be good. That'd be really good. It's just I'm careful with Epsom salt. I bathe in it all the time though. I love Epsom salt baths. Um, One other question I wanted to ask you about is when did you like first realize that you could make a serious living on the internet? And when you realized that, what did you do? Because for a lot of people, I think that is one of those red pill, blue pill moments when they first see how much opportunity they have on the internet. It's hard for them to look back on any other way of doing things.
First time I started thinking about this was back in 2005, before YouTube. Uh, I remember was living in Budapest at the time,
Oh,
and
cool.
I came over some kind of like make money online bullshit program. It was just an ebook that I downloaded that was supposed to be like $20, but I found it for free, and it was basically just it was probably a scam, but like the way you know how easily fooled you are when you're like 21. So I started looking into affiliate marketing and AdSense. AdSense was like I think AdSense is came just then 2004 2005, and I got really interested, and then it took me maybe 10 years until I actually started making money online. Um, so I was on and off, but that's sparked my interest. But the real turning point for that got me started with Yoga for BJJ was I was visiting the Yoga Glow headquarters in Los Angeles. They have a free yoga studio there that anyone can go to and train for free. And they record the classes and put online.
That's so
Uh,
cool.
yeah, and I asked them like how many members they had, and they're like tens of thousands. I'm like, holy shit! And 1 month is like $18. I'm like, these guys are making millions, and
Yeah.
all they're doing is recording yoga classes, and they pay their teachers really well. So it's a win-win for everyone. People get free yoga, the teachers get paid well, and these guys make a lot of money. And the guys at home, they don't pay much to take high quality yoga classes with the best teachers in the world. I'm like, this is really smart. But they only teach in English. They don't teach in Norwegian. So I'm like, we could make this same thing, same concept in Norwegian. And then when we started thinking about this, we're like, hey, which is the group of people that need yoga absolutely most? I'm like, martial artists, of course.
Yeah.
Like from my own experience, like I did yoga for a year, every day for a year, and it healed my back pain. And I'm like, if this works for me, this can work for a lot of people. So that really, like, I saw that there was a huge potential in the service. There was a huge demand for it, and someone else was already doing it in a slightly different way. So I'm like, I can just copy what these guys are doing and just tweak it a little bit, and I could be well off. And it turned out to play out pretty nicely.
That is the key for I think success on the internet. I mean, obviously, like the real key is you come up with something like Amazon and you're the first to do the new thing. But the other key that is made millionaires out of so many people is you find something that's successful, you tweak it, and you add what is uniquely your own, and then you launch, and then you are also successful. You know, and
I don't think even Amazon wasn't doing anything new. They were doing the same old stuff. Were doing mail order, like post orders for
yeah,
books. like the most boring thing you can ever do is sell books on the mail order, but they just did it on the internet instead.
Yeah.
So they just took 95% old business and just did a little tweak. They did it in a new media. And then, like, if you watch the interviews with Jeff Bezos, he said, we just put one foot in front of the other, and now we're one of the world's biggest companies.
Yeah. I'm reading his biography right now. It's
Yeah.
really, really inspiring stuff. It's cool to see how he started off. You know, just him, his wife, and one other guy packing books in their basement, basically shipping it out to people. It's pretty cool. We have a question from one Laura Tokuzolu. Never heard of this person before. But she asked, do you think that the growth hormones in milk affect the way that children develop?
I don't think my opinion matters much, but if there are growth hormones in milk, which I assume there are, because it's basically just bovine growth factor. That's what you can call milk. It's a liquid that is made to get a calf from maybe 20 pounds to a full grown oxen in like 2 years. So if you put that into a baby, you can't assume that everything will be a-okay. That I think that's a valid statement.
I drank milk for a little while. Like I was trying to get really muscular. It was back in my CrossFit days. I was, trying to get really into like powerlifting, and I was drinking milk all the time, and I got so enormous. This was just like not like strong, enormous, just really fat. This was just like a couple years ago, and I was like, holy crap! That was for me. That was my like pill moment where I was like, I'm never drinking milk again. This is stupid.
Let's think about this. Uh, Nothing is healthy unless you have to know what you compare with.
Yeah.
Like everything is relative. So milk is relatively healthy to starving, for example.
Yes.
And we are the grandchildren of the baby boomers, right? We are the children and grandchildren of the baby boomers, and the baby boomers were born right after World War II. And during World War II, there was extreme food shortages everywhere. So if you had a starving kid and you gave it milk, of course your kid would develop so much better compared to the other kids who were just starving. So milk is relatively healthy to not getting enough nutrients. But today we live in a different world. We're not in post World War II anymore. But I see here in Norway, when I see the previous generations, like those who are 70 plus, they still eat as if it was like the day after the war. Like they just got cakes for the first time in 7 years. So they eat cakes and milk and cream like heyday. Like they eat meat every day just because they can, because they have experienced poverty and shortage. Uh, so I think it's really hard for them to break that habit. But for us, we live in a different world now, and we can actually choose to eat optimally. And what that is, I don't think anybody has a perfect idea of what optimum nutrition means. Like you can have a decent nutrition. That's probably pretty easy. But if you want to go for, let's say you really want to make it to 100 years, healthy years, then you actually have to do a lot of studying and research to like navigate this jungle of information.
And the other thing too is you have to experiment. Like different people are going to have different nutritional needs and requirements.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
for some people, there's all sorts of food allergies that I think that's going to be something that kind of gets really exploded, is learning more about food allergies and exactly what you are allergic to. Like there's some people who are allergic to tomatoes and they don't even know it, but they have gas after they eat tomatoes and they've never
Yes.
put two and two together.
That's the first thing I'm gonna do. I found a new clinic here in Oslo who is a little bit more alternative. They have normal doctors who are also educated in the alternative medicines. So I definitely want to have a food allergy check, because every time I eat peanuts, like an hour after I start coughing, and
Yeah,
it happened maybe.
I can't eat.
Huh?
I can't eat peanuts. I always feel like shit afterwards.
Yeah, so it took me maybe 100 trials until I realized maybe there is something here, because I can eat every other nut, but peanuts makes me cough. So I agree. If there comes a kind of dongle that you can put on your phone that you can cough into and have a, or just do self blood test or something, I would jump on that and buy it just to figure out doing these self assessments.
Yeah, I think that that's going to be one of those things that people start to learn about, and they're like, wait, what a minute, what do you mean I'm allergic to such and such foods? Like, there's some people who are allergic to fruit, like certain types of fruit they shouldn't eat, but they do, because you hear, oh, you should eat fruit, but
Yeah,
not if
that
you
can,
feel like shit afterwards.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be uh, off a little bit more in the future. Kind of to wrap up this show, what advice would you give to someone who maybe knows that they need to make a change and they see a lot of the opportunities that we've been talking about, but they don't really know where to start? What would you say to that person?
If you know stuff that you have to change and you can't decide which one, then you can. I remember reading a book just called The Dice Man. He basically, I don't think it's a real story, but I really liked the approach. So he took six things, and he had like three things he wanted to do and three things he didn't want to do but should do, and he wrote them down in one and gave them number 1 to 6, and he rolled the dice, and his only rule was I have to do what the dice says. So I choose the content on the list, but the dice chooses which one I start with. So if you have the indecisiveness problem, if you're indecisive, then that can be a nice way. You just, okay, I roll the dice and I really go with chance. Uh, you can train yourself to start doing stuff you don't like. I hated doing dishes. Now I enjoy them. It took me 33 years, but I can wake up in the morning and I can clean the kitchen in 15 minutes and I can actually enjoy it. And that's almost Nobel Prize worthy, because it's super hard, but you can train yourself and change your mindset around stuff that seems like a mountain, but it's just a molehill. As soon as you climb it, it's like, man, it was so childish of me to think of this as a challenge, because it was nothing. I just overcame it by switching my attitude. So it can be done. And some things are always going to be hard, but you can always do it if you really want to, I think.
Switching your mindset is life changing, and starting to see things um, as a challenge, or just shifting the way that you think about things is totally life changing.
Do you know the guy called Simon Sinek?
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah,
He's
he had a talk that actually it was the only time I considered giving myself a tattoo, because he drew a big square and he talked about thinking inside the box. And he's like, okay, this is the box. This one side is the physical limits, like actual physical limits, like you can't defy gravity, for example. The other side is laws, like you can break laws, but you have somewhere you decide that I'm not gonna kill, so that's one limit. And then he's like, you have these limits, and they're the actual limits. However, your limits are here. And then he draw a super small box inside the box. And he's like, you think that you know the limits, but your limits are so small, you're so confined to your little box, that you actually have to learn how to either grow the box or step outside your little box and get closer to the actual limits of what's possible. And that is something I want to remind. That's why I thought about tattooing this on my forearm. That whenever I'm in a situation where I'm angry at someone cutting me on the highway, or arguing with my wife, or being pissed off at my dogs for some stupid reason, then like where can I move outside and expand my awareness and consciousness to see that this is not actually a problem. Like any problem you can throw at me, if we talk about it for long enough, we will eventually realize that it's not really a problem. You just have to do it slightly different.
It's funny you brought up Simon Sinek because he's actually part of the reason that I started this new podcast. Because
Oh, wow.
his whole talk with why, start with why speech that I'm sure you've heard, but his whole idea of like just start talking about what you believe, and you're going to attract the people who believe what you believe, not because they agree with you, but because they believe it themselves, and they see you saying what you believe, and they want to come along because it's how they view themselves.
Exactly.
And
That's exactly.
and I thought, I heard that, and I said, okay, time to start a new podcast and start talking about what I believe.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming on the show. I think this was awesome and truly, really insightful. Do you have anything that you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Yeah, I'm for sure going to follow you with the next guest, because this was really exciting, and I look forward to see what questions you bring for the next guest.
We've got some good ones coming along, man. Thank you. Thank you so much. And anyone listening, make sure you go check out Yoga for BJJ. Give yourself the 2-week free trial that you guys are doing. And man, it's awesome. It's life-changing. You'll get 2 weeks of awesomeness.
Thank you very much, man. Thank
Yeah,
you for
man.
having
No,
me on the
no
podcast.
problem. We'll see
Say
you
hi.
soon.
Say hi to that guest that wrote the question too.
Yeah, definitely. And this guy too. This guy, he is hogging the spotlight. He likes these live shows. He's got like a bit of a I think he's a bit starstruck. You know, camera's going to his head. I don't know. Anyway, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Take care, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Cheers.